Let me tell you a story about a man named Michael. He learned that you can't trust the rich.
Yeah, well.
Oh, good, another song.
I think this movie is uncriticizable. Like I
Really?
literally.
No, it's not.
No, I think this movie has no like. You can't criticize it because it's
bonkers.
It's nothing. It's nothing, and it's
right.
The lyrics are terrible.
Yeah. I was okay with the first song, and then my tolerance steadily declined. This movie has
over the 3 hours that this movie is.
This movie is so wildly overconfident at how entertaining it thinks it is.
Yes.
I mean, not only are we going to get a band,
it's a comedy. Also,
it's a comedy. It's mildly entertaining. It is a comedy.
No, it's.
I think it's a great movie. I think you're all wrong.
Right. Jim is not in his corner tonight.
This is something.
Yeah, that is something.
I've forgotten what a great movie this is.
I liked it.
Oh,
I liked it too. I enjoyed it myself.
It's nuts.
All I really remembered was the pig guy in the hospital.
That is quite memorable.
Everybody remembers the pig man.
Slapping him across the head with the.
Wait, that's a Seinfeld episode.
And the actor shows
him
up
getting hit in the head at the very end, Jim.
Yeah, getting hit in the head
by the director.
The first thing, the silent movie at the very beginning.
Yes, yeah.
So is this a picaresque that's actually based on Malcolm McDowell's early life being a salesman?
It's for Planters. He was a
and what's funny
salesman.
is when you read like you go to IMDb or you're about to rent the movie, it says it's about a coffee salesman, and it's really like for about 20 minutes it's about a coffee.
After that, it goes way out of field. Exactly.
And me, the tiny brain that I have, pretty much for the rest of the movie, I'm like, he's going to be in big trouble. He hasn't sold any coffee in a long time.
I'm thinking the same thing.
So he starts selling chemicals at some point. That gets weird.
Yeah. It was, I love the part when he goes into, accidentally gets taken.
Oh, Scott was going to tell us the part he loved.
What happened? I was still.
What do we go? Let's all debate.
The part where Scott froze.
Yeah. What do we all think Scott was going to say? What part did he like?
Oh boy, I'm
going again. He liked the bit where he ends up at the nuclear facility being guarded by the army.
Oh, I would say,
was that a nuclear facility? Because I think that was a spaceship that they were building.
Oh, it kind of looked like a nuclear core that they were working on in that one shot.
Yeah, that's
and then
big. Usually
Sheila theorized later that that's where they were making the honey, the deadly napalm-like chemical.
Napalm honey, yes.
Yeah. But in any case, that section did yield the big guffaw for me, which was a very simple gag where they put the bag over his head and all the soldiers put him in that room and locked the door.
He walks out.
And then he just went to the other door and they had forgotten to lock it.
Walks out.
That's a great, simple joke. And I laughed my ass off.
I like the lady coming back in after the alarm's gone off and everybody's run out.
Is somebody recording or do we have to do this all over?
I'm recording.
It's recording.
And she comes up and she's like cleaning up and she's like, oh, they didn't let you out. And just walks over and undoes his things on his arms.
I keep talking to them about this.
Also, welcome to Scotland.
I think
that part was very funny.
It's a rags.
The guy just slaps him in the face.
It's a rags to riches to rags story, which we've seen a million times, but he takes sort of circuitous routes to get there. I mean, I think much like his character, it sort of coasts along, carried by the charisma and self-confidence of Malcolm McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that Michael maybe it's a little flipped. I think he's got more self-confidence than is warranted. But
because that woman at the beginning is just like, you're the one who can sell, and let's fuck while drinking coffee.
Right.
The coffee.
He is a lucky man in many ways.
Well, he got some
on Candide.
Yes.
Gulliver's Travels.
He also gets
he just has cougars throwing themselves at him constantly.
20-something Helen Mirren is like,
yeah, he gets to make out with Helen Mirren.
Wow.
They worked on stage together, and the woman who was originally cast in that got fired, and then he went to Helen Mirren and was like, "You have to be in this movie." Like and then he gets to make out with her. So he knew what he was doing.
Sure.
I thought that all the stuff between like the all the stuff in the office building between like, you know, this sort of bonkers lineup behind me.
The eulogy thing.
Yeah, and then culminating on, you know, the guy chucking himself out the window.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of Hudsucker.
Hudsucker, exactly.
Mhm.
Again, like at a certain point, you're like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. He's just going to kind of like keep falling upward to the point where like he suddenly has convinced himself that he is worthy of sitting in the back of this Rolls Royce being driven around.
Yeah.
And the second he gets comfortable with the idea that I've always deserved to be here, that's when the rug gets pulled out from under him. And
Well,
then
what does the guy say? Don't die like a dog.
What, Jim?
I think it's when you reach a certain level, you then they start fucking with you.
Right.
Because it
Yeah.
is that, you know. It's
And
like-
on and the movie kind of makes that like pretty obvious, like this is the point we're trying to make, even as it's, you know, kind of degenerating. And, you know, by the last 15 minutes of the movie where you actually get the director, was he hits him in the head. And then you get the dance sequence. But
And
it's
the
like
machine
24
gun
hour
and the
party
books.
people.
Jesus Christ.
I also thought of the end of The Prisoner, which is like, well, we can't think of an ending, so we'll just have a big party and everybody will start dancing. And
yeah.
There's a lot of The Prisoner in this.
Of a
There's
trilogy.
really a lot. Like I was thinking about The Prisoner for about 80% of this movie.
I think that there's just a very specific like vein of British sensibility.
paranoia.
British sensibility of you know, that kind of humor and paranoia. Yeah, it's very cynical. This movie's so cynical.
It's
This
really
movie's more cynical than I am.
Yeah,
yes, that's saying something.
more cynical than
I
Tad.
think it's a great movie.
But I agree with you.
That's
This-
why Jim thinks it's a great movie. I'm going to reinforce everything you say because we can barely hear you, Jim.
No, but I agree with I was actually living in London at the last third of 1972, probably about the same time this movie was made, and so I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah. To see London of that time, right?
Yeah. And I you know, there's a lot put on those songs. I guess what this guy was like co-founder of the Animals or something, right?
Yeah.
And
He's
they said
Want to be fucking Ray Davies.
Scott, you'll have to watch the recording to find out what we all said. It was
That's
great.
fine. Oh,
It was great.
They sent the script to Alan Price like before they made the movie, and they were like, this is where we want you to write songs. So all of the songs were written before the movie was made, so they still had to like kind of make the movie to the music, and it's just like, oh boy.
The lyric, it's too on the nose.
Very
like,
on the nose.
obviously on the nose.
I've made this reference before, but it's the Family Guy thing with Randy Newman. Like
Did you
it's
talk about
literally that Randy Newman joke.
Did you talk about the multiple casting? About the same
We didn't even get to that.
We haven't even gotten to that yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, Lindsay Anderson's he's mostly a theater guy, and so this kind of thing where he recycles the actors over and over again.
You run backstage, put a different wig on, and you
Yeah,
run
exactly.
back out.
That's what's happening in this. Although I think it doesn't help. You know, it's like when it drops you out of the movie every time.
Don't say.
Yeah.
Here's Malcolm McDowell in a terrible
dude.
mustache.
Oh, yeah, the
Here's the
blackface
guy in
thing.
blackface.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy in
Don't
blackface. And
say.
mind you, I think that part of the film where he's talking about like the whole colonial thing, and you know the whole like taking over their country and like British going in there and taking all their money and resources away, and signing off all agreements and making him make the fall guy. It was like on the nose,
was
but I'm
great.
sure it was pretty significant at the time in England.
Yeah, this is about the end of the British Empire.
You have to imagine it in the 70s there.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
So
real
it's
quick,
like
hold on.
the end of
Real quick.
imperialism and the beginning of globalism.
Yeah.
This is about where we are now as an empire.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. So I'm sure it's pretty shocking. The blackface I can't explain except for the theatrical thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I'm
like-
sure.
And racism.
Yeah.
I mean, they had actual black actors in the film, and yet
Right.
they cast a white guy and painted him black.
They
No,
had an
this
actual
wasn't
black
a-
actor in the film, and then they used him as a sex puppet.
Yeah. Well, there was actually
Also-
like
No, there was more than that guy. Chocolate sandwich.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun. That's some of the things I remembered as a kid saying it.
Of course.
Oh, I can't imagine why.
Yes.
You've seen this before, Scott.
I saw this when I was a kid, when I was like 11 or actually too young to see this film
Right.
at the Nickelodeon in Santa Cruz. It was, an art film.
Oh,
coming
perfect.
through. Yeah.
So, Chris,
Get
Chris,
Carter- with
I
Get
wanted to
Carter the other week and this, we've got a lot of fucking 16mm British porn going in the last
Yeah.
couple of,
Yeah, no
like-
shit. Sorry about
It's
that.
like it's like a mini theme. Chris, I was going to bring up the Plaza Theater in Petaluma. This is a repertory house that was going when we were in high school. And
I've
you'd
been
get-
there. I saw Escape from New York. I saw.
Sure.
There.
But you'd get the monthly program that had a different two movies pretty
This
much
movie
every
was
day.
this was a rep film darling in America.
This was there every other month. And I just wonder, were they selling tickets? Who would go back to see this 3-hour film over and over
I
again?
saw it twice in a theater.
Petaluma's not that big of a
Times
town.
At the Plaza.
What's that, Jim?
I saw it a couple of times at the Plaza.
Oh, so it was you.
Probably
was
yeah, it's
you.
his fault. It was his fault.
But like, hey, we sold some tickets. We got to book this again.
People who really like Masterpiece Theater and Monty Python.
Yeah. Although it's
Well,
Mike
I
Python,
really felt like Monty
blackface.
Python for a
I
second.
like both of
there,
those
and
things,
then
and I don't like
the
this.
judge goes into his chambers and she starts whipping him.
Very Monty Python.
Very.
Very much so.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments in this that are Monty Python. The part where he's sliding down the rocks towards his car after he escapes from that's a
Yeah.
very Monty Python bit too. And then it starts raining and he's just holding the bag with the suit over his head, which, by the way, that bag with the suit goes through a fucking fire and he comes out the other side, he puts the suit on and it looks
And
perfect.
it's spotless.
Yeah,
Well,
he's got
by
like,
the way, that
he's
is
got
a
one little
great
thing on his
suit.
collar.
Well, it's
kind of a magical
it's a
suit.
reference to the man in what was that?
The man in the white,
suit. Yeah.
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 with the Alec Guinness movie.
The man in the gray flannel suit?
No,
No, it was
No, Great
there's
Flannel Suit is Gregory Peck.
no, there was a British film about this company that invents this material that can never be stained, never be wrinkled or anything like that, and they make a suit out of it. And Alec Guinness is in it, and it's just kind of this. It's a metaphor, but there it is. But yeah, this was.
That gives us
It's a
Curious
picaresque.
George.
One thing is by this film, it's a picaresque. It's like there's a point in the beginning, but it's just about this guy wandering through life for England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat in that respect. But
I did like all of the radio gags. There's all
yeah, they were
there's-
fun.
There's all the time where he's got the radio on in the car and
Oh, yeah.
and it's just like, so and so was murdered and now as a problem with the England's or no, not England, Europe's relationship with the USSR is ending because the guy who's the head of the Ministry of Defense resigned because he was about to get arrested. Like, and it's just like that's the whole movie. You constantly, the cosmonauts dying when he's like looking out through the binoculars. It's like, and they went to Kazakhstan and the cosmonauts were dead. And it's like, oh yeah, okay.
It reminds me of, ever see Brewster McCloud?
Yeah.
Yes.
A long time
Same
ago.
thing. There's radio gags in that film too. And that was like 1 year earlier too. So
So I saw Britannia Hospital a really long time ago. I barely remember it. Other than Malcolm McDowell in the 3 movies, do they have any tie together?
it's the same character.
Yeah,
It
it's the
is.
same character.
yeah.
Okay.
If this
Like the Antoine Douanel Truffaut flicks.
Yeah, I didn't see If.
It's
I will go
Jean-Pierre
watch it.
Léaud.
I saw
Right,
There's
it.
more of a connection between If and A Lucky Man, I think.
If is very Godardian. It's very like it's
Well,
very
this
far
is totally Godard.
yeah. I also
like all those the intertitles that just keep you in a dialogue.
Northeast.
North.
yeah, but this film is a lot
I
like
mean, it just goes to titles at the end and tells you like some of the story without any
Right.
imagery.
which is either clever or him running out of ideas. I'm not sure
It also
exactly.
just hard cuts to black every like 20
You notice
minutes.
that?
Yeah.
That's
I
an
like that,
A-roll
actually.
thing. He goes, this film is A-roll cut. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Like instead of crossfading it black, then next scene in black, then next scene. It might have been in a hurry. It might be a style thing. We don't know. It's really
And the
distracting.
suicide-
It felt
And
like
this-
an intentional choice.
The Suicidal Woman was cut out of the theatrical release, but like a couple of weeks after it came out, like there's some weird shit about the edit in this movie.
Yeah, there is.
Mhm.
It's
There's a
all
few
it's
di-
definitely
There's a
made
few
sense.
different versions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But,
feel like Jared is sitting on a bile-filled screed that
No.
so you've been very quiet.
I give you 15 days to watch it, so I hope you took your time.
No, I have to apologize to all of you, but mostly to Scott. I didn't watch this one.
Oh well, okay.
It wasn't
Didn't miss
because I
much.
No, it wasn't because I didn't want to. I'm sorry, Scott. I'm not going to be Jim and lie and be all, yeah, it was good. No, I'm kidding, Jim.
These guys.
But I could pull a Jim and just be all, yeah, I like the part at the end.
Well, you know what?
You are my son.
But you know,
But I didn't watch it. I'm sorry, but I'm really enjoying hearing you guys talk about
but
it.
Jared, it's okay that you showed up anyway. That's actually good.
I watched the other one, so
Yeah.
and
I
I
think
love you
it's
guys.
worth.
so
I
I'm
think
here.
it's worth. For whatever it's worth, I'm
Just
glad
showing
I
up is
finally
not
saw
good
this
enough.
movie.
All right. So I watched it. Okay, in Hawaii, I watched this in Hawaii on the big screen in our
Why?
condo over 3 days because it gets really quiet at night. We watched it over 3
That's
nights.
when that's the good part. You go out, you sit
I'm not gonna
it's
go out.
quiet.
And no, I'm 60. I'm not gonna get hammered every night and we'll crawl
No,
back.
I'm not talking
You
about
just
getting
go out and look
drunk.
at
I'm
the
talking
be-
about
look
like
at the
going and
waves.
sitting outside.
Also, I was
like-
with David, and me and David saw this at the Nickelodeon, and we were both kids, so we wanted
Oh,
to watch
yeah.
it again. So we both watched it, and he had some insights about this as well, but I didn't write them down. But one thing you noticed that when they reviewed the film, Pauline Kael said, "I dislike it, and I can't tell you why," which is like one of the
Was
most
this,
lazy
well,
reviews
I-
I've ever heard.
Based on what you guys talking about, is this a musical?
No.
No, it's just a,
No, and yes.
I can't.
It
I
is
know.
a musical, yeah.
There's no. Is there a comp for this film? I can't think of a comparable.
Has anyone seen Godar's 1+1?
No.
I mean, I would say that
Basically, he shot the Rolling Stones putting Sympathy for the Devil together, and he intercut it with 10-minute scenes. So there's like 10 minutes of the Rolling Stones and 10 minutes of these black revolutionaries in London, like
Mhm.
going all fuck.
Yeah, everyone did that back then.
I think it's like a deconstructed Pixar movie. It's like you have
Pixar.
Maybe.
you have the
It was
Randy
Randy.
Newman explanatory songs, and then but instead of having them happen over top of whatever's going on the screen, they just card cut and Randy Newman sitting there singing. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
that kind of thing, and also that makes the movie about 40 minutes longer.
Yeah,
Like,
that,
Yes.
they could have cut the chorus out, all the musical chorus stuff.
Well,
away.
especially considering that
Or
some
you
of the
could have had it
songs
just happen over top of what was happening.
that would have helped. Maybe it would have been less than 3 hours long. But then again, some of the songs were repeated 2 and 3 times.
different arrangements of the same.
This is
song.
what I mean about the movie has such an exaggerated idea of how interesting the material is. It's like, I don't want to hear those songs once, some of them, and we get to hear them 3 times.
It's like when you're at a party and the guy's on coke and he just keeps talking to you and he thinks he's so much cooler than he is.
Yeah.
Like
But he keeps repeating the same story.
everything
Yes.
he's doing is so fucking cool. This is
So
the
you're
coolest
talking
walk
about me, and I
everyone's ever
appreciate
had.
that.
But I had that same gripe about a great film called The Graduate, and I love Simon and Garfunkel, but they played Scarborough Fair way too much.
Oh yeah, they kind of hit it a lot.
Yeah, this is like that, but more.
But also, this is Alan Price, right? This is the
Yes.
guy from The Animals.
Animals.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
some people went
he's
out
got a
and got
lovely
famous
singing
doing
voice.
solo work, but he
Yep.
didn't. You know, he was kind of
Hospital.
after the Animals broke up. He was kind of a local phenomenon in England. He didn't take off internationally after the Animals ended.
Yeah, I think
But-
this- I think this-
They sent cases of Newcastle to the set.
dude, that guy
just
was like so funny that this big thing in Newcastle. He's
Big
always,
thing in Newcastle on the keyboard
that's the best
in every
And,
shot.
Yeah, David had a lot to say about the instrumentation, the whole thing. Oh my God, there's an old RMI keyboard. Oh, it's so cool, but that was fun. But yeah, it was, I'm watching it, having watched it the first time in 25 or 30 years. It's got a lot of positives about it. It just kind of has its own flow and it has its own feel, and it doesn't. And there's some stuff that's like wonderfully mysterious. I said the part of the military base was like, they lock him in a room and one of the doors is open and he just wanders. It's like,
Yeah,
then
they
it's
talked
just-
about that already, Dick.
I know.
Keep
Sorry,
going.
I was in the void at that point. And of course, the alarm goes off. You don't know why.
I'm
He's
kidding,
running
I'm
out. It's great, but there's a lot of wonderful random shit in here, which makes it kind of fun.
I agree with everything you just said, and it's
Right.
making me crazy. I can't think about like movies I've seen where you're basically following a character as it sort of bounces around from weird situation to weird situation. But I know,
Mad World.
I can
is-
think of as Bubble Boy.
or
That's
I'm
the one thing
thinking
I
like
think of.
Munchausen or
The Big Lebowski, dude.
The Big Lebowski.
Dead-
Yeah, Big Lebowski. A bunch of shit that happened to this guy.
Yeah, good one. Dead Man.
bounce around like a pinball, but it's still
Dead Man, love Dead Man.
No, Bubble Boy with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh Jesus!
that.
How do you like the worst movies? I don't
No,
understand.
I'm just making. I don't like that film. It was drawing.
Yeah, he does.
I've never seen that film, and I don't want to.
Do you know what I mean, right? Like,
Yeah, I
Yes.
know what you mean. I know what you
We know
mean.
what you mean, Chris.
2000 would be one example. Like, the characters, the main character sort of bounces around like a pinball from weird situation to weird situation, but it's still a narrative arc.
Life Stinks.
Is
Life
it-
Stinks is another one.
Yeah, I think it's got a theme. It's got a theme, and he does have a journey, of course, but he doesn't change much. It's more just like he's the punching bag for everything that happens
Yes.
to him. I mean, it violates.
He doesn't change. He doesn't become like everybody else.
Right, it violates all the screenwriting stuff you learn, which is your character has to have an arc. He has to have a goal. He has to grow and change.
That's like
I
the
don't think
master.
he does.
The master.
His arc,
Joaquin
also
Phoenix
the
doesn't
arc in
fucking
this
change at
movie
all.
his arc in this movie is that he keeps being positive and the world keeps being negative.
And that
much.
seems to be the message of the film.
That's
like, yes,
that's a decent.
Rich people suck. Part-
Part
Part one is rich people suck. Part two is poor people also suck. But if you make films, you'll have a good time and life.
This is again why it's more cynical than I am. Like
That's what I'm saying.
Like I stop at the first one. The first one's good enough.
It is
Okay.
of its time.
I don't know. Like I
Right?
think like all people suck, but
That's the message.
in a different way,
But you can still find a way to enjoy your life.
to different degrees.
Don't end your film with the rap party. You know
Well,
what I mean?
there-
That's kind
No.
Or always end your film with the rap party. That's another thing.
I
The
felt
thing
like
is,
the
you can
movie was
see
on
it-
the verge of breaking the fourth wall for like 2 hours and 50 minutes, and then they finally just did it at the end.
I don't think there was a fourth wall. I think the whole point is like you're part of this too. Like,
Yeah, it's like
pretty
like
much.
Slumdog.
Yeah,
Why the
yeah.
fuck did they do the
He's making
dance?
the
Just like
audience
Slumdog.
an accomplice. Mhm.
That was weird.
it's not as egregious as Slumdog.
That was
I'll give-
really weird. It's like a
it's-
regular movie and then suddenly a fucking Bollywood number.
Yeah, fortunately
That's
that
very
doesn't
odd.
happen in this. This movie has the same tone through the entirety of it. That tone I think is
Yeah.
bad. Jim likes it, but like it's
I like it too.
yeah, Chris likes it. That's fine.
Kinda
It's
grungy.
that's sort of the thing about this movie is like that's why I, again said I feel like it's kind of uncriticizable is that you either like it or you don't.
Criticizes it.
I was
like-
impatient with the musical interludes. I enjoyed it overall. I didn't think it was hilarious, but it was mildly amusing.
All right,
It
well
was
let's do.
watching Malcolm McDowell do stuff. So
Well, then
okay.
let's do thumbs, and I'm gonna offset whoever the fuck.
Also, you already mentioned that Helen Mirren was super hot back then, right? You already mentioned it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
God,
good.
yeah,
It was.
yeah,
I was sorry I missed that part because she was.
Helen Mirren is
Still
still
hot.
hot.
He's still hot.
Yeah. All right. We can do thumbs. That's fine.
A solid up.
Okay, we got it up
Not
and
as good as I
down,
remember
sideways.
it. So I'm gonna
Okay, I'll
tilt
do it
to one
down
of
just to
them.
make it more like
All right.